with other parents about how to look for these signs, because a lot of people are in denial about it. So Tasha is going to talk first about what is autism.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So he's a speaker, I'm not. So if my audio is not where it should be, just raise your hand and I'll try to go a little higher. So what is autism? It's a developmental disorder that is usually the result of a neurological illness that affects how a child interacts or develops socially. So it's not just one area in behavior, it can be several behaviors, right? Autism is classified in 3 different categories: a level 1, a level 2, and a level 3. A level 1 is someone who they're fully functioning. A level 2 is someone who they can speak, they can dress themselves, but then there are other issues. A level 3 is someone who cannot speak, they need 24-hour assistance, 24-hour care, just someone to be with them constantly. Nathan was diagnosed as a level 1, so if you looked at him today, you could never tell that he's autistic because he looks like any normal child. However, when it comes to his interaction with other kids his own age, then you kind of say, something isn't right with this kid, or he's a little off in some areas. He gravitates a lot towards younger kids. I remember we were at the mall and he just runs up he sees families walking with like a baby, and he has to run up to the stroller, oh, he's so cute, and he wants to touch that baby. And oftentimes the parents might look at us like, why is this child running up to our child like this? And we have to say, he's autistic and he just really loves babies. To the point where Nathan himself he'll say, Mom, I love babies, right? And we're like, yes, Nathan, you love babies. So there's not a one-fit-all methodology for an autistic child because they're all different. For Nathan, he's a picky eater. He has never slept a night in his own bed. He's 7 years old. He was in our bed last night, right in the middle of Mom and Dad, because that's what makes him feel comfy. That's what makes him feel safe. He just likes the fact of that warm body beside him. Dad was saying, Nathan, you're going to be 8 in a couple of months. You need to start sleeping in your own bed. That's not going to happen, right? He might fall asleep in his own bed, but look for him maybe between 11 to midnight, and you hear the feet running because he's coming. He realizes that there's no one in his bed, so he comes in our bed, and he not only sleeps on the edge, he literally comes between Dad and I because that's what makes him feel comfortable. So as it relates to caregivers for autistic kids, they have to be able to understand that each child has different needs. And in a class, you might have 2 or 3 different autistic kids, but the support that goes for one child might be the support might be completely different for another child. So Asperger's is also classified as one of the autistic spectrum disorders. It is sometimes diagnosed because the traits are very similar, but as I was saying to Ms. Darlene earlier, there's autism spectrum disorder, and then you have all these other subcategories, which is why it's oftentimes misdiagnosed as Asperger's syndrome. It is usually diagnosed later than autistic spectrum disorders after age 3, and it's more prevalent in boys than in girls. If I'm going too fast, please stop me. And I'll turn over to Chris as he goes through identifying the different signs.
Thank you, Tasha. So one of the things that I think that we'll add as we go along so you understand because it's we are parents of an autistic child, we do not even understand. Everything seems normal, but it's not. And it's hard to say it would be easier if the child was blind, because then you're blind. If you're disabled in a wheelchair, then you're in a wheelchair. Deaf, dumb. Again, it's hard to say that would be easier. With autism, it's like, why can't you? Everything seems normal, but you just don't get it. So, from a caregiver standpoint, it's very important that as soon as a child is diagnosed, that you are aware there are certain things that you should do and should not do. And we're going to go through identifying the signs. Like, we've had situations where caregivers have been punched at school by Nathan. Don't ever put your face close to an autistic child. As nice as they might seem, if you get in their space, don't do it. Always have that discipline, because they can snap, in a moment. So I'm just putting that out there for you to remember that. Let's look at how we can identify some of the signs. There's a lack of common sense. Literally, it's like you feel you can be Superman. So we are always on speed dial with Nathan, because right now we left him and he's fine, but we would not be surprised if he jumped off of the second floor balcony because he thought he was Superman or he was SpongeBob and he could bounce. So that's a typical thing. I think we've gotten to the point now. I think I was picking him up about 2 weeks ago, right here at St. Bernadette, and I saw one of his caregivers chasing around the school. So as a parent, I'm driving it, and here's the caregiver running without a child, and immediately I'm saying, it's something to do with Nathan. And she's looking for Nathan, and I said, Nathan? And she said, yeah, we can't find him. I'm like, most parents would be like freaking out. With us, it happens so often, we're like, we went to the airport, I'm right there in the airport. He's beside me. What do you want to eat? Okay, an orange juice? Yes, fine. Paying the person, look down. Nathan is gone. This is like happened in the past 4 months at Pearson Airport. And you have to go to the police and everything. Nathan cannot be found in the entire airport. Eventually, and you're paging him and everything, eventually he turns up. I was just looking at the plane, Dad. Alright? So, that's the lack of common sense. Naive, social responses, intense interest. You will find that Nathan and most autistic kids just focus on one thing. So it might be Legos, it might be trains, it might be a particular doll. Okay? Superior use of grammar and vocabulary. When he was 3 years old, they would say to him, what is it that they would be teaching him about a boat? And for example, they'd say to him about the boat, what is it that you need for your story about the boat? And they would say to him, well, Nathan, which boat is that? And they would say, no, but that's an Egyptian canoe from so-and-so BC. That's how Nathan speaks. You don't think an autistic child is listening to you, but they hear everything. This morning, he sat beside me. He says, Dad, I'm sorry for calling you stupid. I'm like, what did you call me stupid? Last year, when we were in America, I called you stupid. That's how the brain works. They hear everything. They may not be writing it down, but they're assimilating. And that's how they get their knowledge. Poor motor coordination. He can't ride a bicycle. 7 years old, every other boy, 2-year-old kids riding bikes up and down. He cannot ride a bicycle. Doesn't want to go on the street because of the training wheels, because it embarrasses him, but he cannot ride a bicycle. So normal things, and we'll get into the frustration that parents have, because this disease illness has one of the highest divorce rates for parents. Because men in particular cannot deal with the fact that their sons cannot do sports. They don't like baseball or basketball or playing regular things because of the coordination. It doesn't happen to all, but it happens in many cases. So if you see wives or mothers coming in looking frustrated or unhappy, remember, family life is normally extremely poor. They get split up. Grandparents don't want to accept them. Aunts don't want to accept them. We haven't seen any of my siblings in the past, 3 years? They came by the house and said, sorry, we just can't do this. We love him. We've never heard from them again. They just cannot deal with it. And this is a regular thing that happens. So you have to work with the parent. It's very important to do that, right? But understand, you've had a hard day and you're frustrated, but here is this mom or dad and this child, okay? So the honesty, they're very honest. They're going to be very blunt. If the child says, I love you, then they love you. If they don't say they love you, then they probably just like you. But when they tell you they love you, it's very genuine. Repetitive routines, the same thing, right? You have to bathe at the same time, go to the restroom at the same time, use the potty at the same time, eat at the same time, everything, go to the same restaurants. That's what happens. Enforcement of rules, they're the rule police. And he'll come home and say, Dad, so-and-so did this, okay? That was not appropriate. Right? He loves that word. For some reason, there are lots of things on TV now where every toy has to be pooping. I don't know what that's about. Every dog, every cat is pooping. That's not appropriate, right? He's a rule police. Overly sensitive to sensory stimulus. So every morning when we get up, we wake up 5:45. He wakes up at 6, and we have 2 pairs of glasses. Which one you want, Nate? He has to wear glasses, dark glasses, because his eyes cannot take normal light. Normally by the time he gets to school, he's okay, but he has to put on the dark glasses. This has been going on for 7 years, okay? Touch, smell, they just go after he smell plants that you can't smell, but the reverse is true, right? So if you're wearing a fragrance, perfume, or something, and this might be a trigger for the child that they become agitated. It could be something in the environment that's triggering it, okay? And normal IQ, a lot of people think that autistic kids are brilliant. Some of them are, but it's not that they're all Einsteins, okay? So let's check the boxes. Interact with child. Does he or she notice or respond appropriately to specific social cues? Observe in structured and unstructured social situations. Is a child developmentally appropriate? Is a child self-absorbed by themselves, playing with a game? Okay? Does child have their own sense of humor? We don't understand his humor. Why do people live in Pickering? Because they pick their nose. That's it. Does child have difficulty reading facial expressions? So you could just be saying something simple like, hey Nate, could you put on your clothes? Why are you so angry? Right? They're going to read these facial expressions. So you have to be careful with that. Lack of remorse or empathy for others in distress. If he sees a kid fall down off of a bicycle on the road, he's going to crack up. It's not his best quality, and many of them are like this. Now, we did not write this about Nathan. This is what we need to tell you. This is done on research from several papers, but it's interesting to have this and then say, okay, yes, our son has this, right? It explains why he finds, if somebody hurts themselves, he finds it funny. It's not his fault, he's autistic, right? So, abnormal relationship to objects and events. most individuals with autism will become upset if the object or schedules are changed. So again, you go to the same restaurant. I wanted to just add this. So everyone who participates today is going to get a certificate of completion from us, and we're going to be mailing it out afterwards, so you get an official one of these afterwards to say that you participated in the Introduction to Autism Level 1, okay? And if you give us your email address, then we will email you all of these slides so you can actually use them and read them and print them and share it amongst yourselves afterwards, okay? So most individuals with autism will become upset if the objects or schedules are changed. So we have the same restaurant, we have the same foods, it's McDonald's, never Wendy's, rarely Wendy's. What does he Kraft macaroni and cheese? Scatterbush has the best pasta ever, right? What else would take? Stuffed animal, same stuffed animal he's had. I'm just amazed where it came from. He has a turtle. He's had that from he was 6 months old. He's 7. He sleeps with that every night. Cannot go to sleep without it. Okay? Same animal. Do not change it. We lost it once somewhere.
He was at the hospital.
He was at the hospital. And yeah. Just to get an injection, they actually have to strap him down like a mummy to get an injection. Because a needle is like the worst thing. Everything is, again, over the top. When a routine like nap time or playtime is changed, completely throws him out. He has never fallen asleep on his own in his entire life. Every other child will eventually, after playing video games or be tired and you see them sleep. He has never fallen asleep in his entire life. It's 6 a.m. in the morning until 8 you get him into bed. 9 you're still trying it. We have tried everything, including medication. We overdosed him once. We shouldn't really say that. It was by accident. But they tell you that you can use melatonin to help him fall asleep. 5 milligrams. And Tasha gave him one, and I think I gave him one. And we were like calling sick kids, and everyone, they said, no, if you give him melatonin, that did not even help. That did not move basic. So every night you have to lie down with him for an hour to get him to go to sleep in his bed, and then he's coming back afterwards within 2 hours. They do much better when there are no changes to a routine. The adherence to a lifestyle or routine puts stress on the educator and parents because we can't do anything else. You can't go to the movies with him because he says how long it's going to be. And this is a cartoon, okay? And he doesn't really want to be there, but I'll do it for you. A child with autism can be taught that there will be changes to objects, schedules, and environments. So it's a good thing that it can be taught. It's just how you transition them. My advice, and we've heard of situations with people who are caring for autistic kids, where the educator will say, okay, we're going outside now. No, we're going, and you begin to take the paper. No. And there's a picture in this book of the transformation to the Hulk. Literally, all 45 pounds of him, he will become the Hulk. We have classrooms in the USA and some here that he has destroyed. Like literally a class like this, every table is turned over, everything torn off the wall. Because somebody tried to engage him to do something that he did. And it's normal for autistic kids like that. His sister is looking after him today while we're here. I said, if he doesn't want to do it, just leave him alone. I will handle it when I get home. Because not everyone knows how to transition him. And this is what I suggest for anyone who's looking after an autistic child. We are going to do this in 5 minutes. 5 minutes, okay. 3 minutes, okay. 1 minute, okay, let's go. But if you say we're going now, and you feel that you need to be the person that's enforcing, then you're going to lose the battle because it's going to go downhill after that. abnormal. Let's look at playtime. Individuals may not want to interact with toys like cars and dolls and trucks, which are normal children their age. Okay? They have their things that they want to focus on specifically, and it's to encourage that. Nathan moved from trains at 6 months to Beyblades about a year ago to Legos. So we have Legos everywhere in the house, and then now he's into Minecraft. And he has 2 iPads at the same time. We don't understand how he was able to connect 2 iPads, and he's actually playing against himself on the 2 iPads now. He actually got the iPad, he got the Samsung Galaxy S whatever, because he's part of a video campaign for Samsung for autism. He got that 2 weeks ago. So that's a Samsung, the other one is an Apple iPad, and somehow he is building on here, and the same thing is happening, and he's now playing with his sister. And that we can't even understand his brain, put it that way. Individuals require that dinner at restaurants will always be the same location. So again, Scatterbush and Boston Pizza. Low interest in other activities is part of the routine, but anger, screaming, and disruption are part of the resistant behavior. The behavior can be changed, and we're talking about patience and understanding. The behavior can be changed through positive reinforcement and patience. So I'm going to encourage you to do something which is going to be very sensitive, because no parent wants anybody to tell them that their child could be autistic. We have literally best friends that live in Ajax. We were at the christening of their child, and we did not know their child was autistic until last year.
Until we moved back.
Until we moved back last year. Child is now how old? 4, and still in diapers. The parent, and we tell everybody our child is autistic. They were embarrassed to tell us their child is autistic. That's how they choose to handle it. We put it out there. But most parents don't want to hear that, because the men, and I think it's fair to say the father changed immediately. He just couldn't accept it. He's still there and he's engaged, but a lot of parents don't want to hear that. So if you see the signs, it's important that you speak to your leaders about it. Let them have the conversation about whether or not, or how you want to transition that child